All right. Hello, and welcome to the check-in with Coach Nikki. Thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, joining, and being a part of our community. The check-in with Coach Nikki is a podcast. This is our 13th episode. How you feeling? How long have you been listening? Which episode was your first? Do you have any favorites yet? I am super excited that you chose to be a part of this podcast tonight. I definitely am always coming to this space with gratitude and my heart postured in a space of thanks for those who tend to join and who have chosen to be a part of this community. So the check in is a space that was created 3 years ago when grief was at my door, when heavy was in my space, when I didn't know what else to do. And so I chose to figure out a way to pivot, to adjust to what I needed. The check-in is actually what it started as is a capacity check, understanding what you can handle in every space. So what's your capacity mentally? What's your capacity physically? What's your capacity spiritually, right? Do you know what you need? Do you know what you can handle? And in that season, in that time, I had no idea. Also realizing that capacity checks are necessary in moments, not just the day, right? So where you are in this moment, as you're listening with me and you're present with me in this moment, where are you? That's the goal. The goal is to use this thing to be able to understand where you are and not waiting for other people to check on you, right? I realize that sometimes it takes us a moment to get to a place where we understand that we're the priority. It takes a moment for us to get to the space where we realize that we're the priority, that what we need is necessary, even for us to be effective in the roles that we carry, in the hats that we may wear, right? In the spaces where people need us. But if we haven't checked on us, if we haven't made sure we're okay, then we will fail. We won't be able to be effective in the spaces that we need to be. So the check-in was derived from that. I began to check on myself in moments, realizing that in the middle of the day, I may not be the same place I am at the end of the day, right? And I deserve to know where I am, because once I know where I am, I know how to move for you, right? I know how to do what I need to do for those who depend on me. But if I don't do it for me, then none of the other things matter. So again, welcome to the check-in. So this moment that I had 3 years ago became this podcast that you get to be a part of every week. So I am Coach Nikki. I'm a certified life coach. I am also an author. I'm also a motivational speaker. I'm also a mom. I'm also a wife. I'm also a sister. I'm also a daughter. But none of those things mean more than me being Nikki. None. Did y'all catch that? None of those things mean more to me than being Nikki. And so I need some people to get to that place, because we tend to let some of the hats supersede who wears them. Oh, that was good to me. I hope it's good to you, right? That was good to me. Sometimes we allow the hats that we wear to supersede the person who wears them. And so in this space, most times the goal is, every time, the goal is to make sure you're checking on you first. I use this analogy all the time. If you were on a flight, the attendant stands there and they give you all of this information, all these things you got to do. The biggest thing they tell you to do is, if something happens, put the mask on you first and then take care of the person beside you. And so the check-in is just a space that's created for that. So we talk about all types of things. We make space for all people to come, business owners, parents, right? Just somebody who said, I just need a space to just be. Come on, the couch is open for you. So if you are interested in being a guest here on the Check-In Podcast, please don't hesitate to reach out. We make space for you. Nikki, how you get all this stuff done? I don't do it alone. So I always pay gratitude and thanks to those who help me get here every week, right? So to the first person I want to thank is to our set designer, Shanice Harrison. Thank you so much for setting up and putting things in place and in order. Without you, this thing will move slow. And so I'm grateful that you're here. To Cara Presley and Diamond Kemp, if you've seen any flyers or any promotion, they are the hands that did it. I kind of like maybe tweak something every now and then, but without them, it wouldn't be nothing. To those who created platform spaces for all of us, like people like me, content creators who want to do more, I say thank you. So to TikTok, who allowed me space, thank you. Twitch, thank you. YouTube, thank you. Facebook, thank you. Riverside, who literally is the thing that I'm on in this moment, thank you. And to my viewers and to my followers, I say, hey, y'all, thank y'all so much. I am grateful for you. So let's get into the topic. So today's topic, we're in a parenting series. And I don't know how long we're going to be here. You know, I feel like a pastor a little bit because, you know, they start with a series and that thing go for the whole year. You like, Lord, they've been talking about this all year. So we are in this space. We are talking about parenting, all different facets. I want to thank my son. Last week he came on. Malik came on last week. Michaela came on last month. Nicholas, talked to him the other day. He's going to come on next month. Super excited. And I guess that just means Nate don't have no choice but to show up. And so you like, Nikki, you just invite your kids? I do. They can say no. They're not obligated to be a part, but I make space for them because in parenting, when we have conversations, if you're not even able to hear their story, then it negates yours. If you're not willing to hear, and it's going to tap into a little bit of what we're talking about today, if you're not going to even make space for them to tell their story, it somewhat negates yours. And so today's topic is about memory versus experience. So although I open the door to hear them, I can't take away their experience, even if my memory is not the same. Get it? Got it? Good. Got that from a friend. Right? So if my memory serves me in a space of in an episode or in anything, any experience anything that has happened in our past, I can't negate their experience because it doesn't meet my memory. It doesn't mean that I failed them. It doesn't mean that I'm terrible. It just means that the two are different. And so we're going to kind of talk about this today. Hopefully help somebody in this space, also free myself from some things that I probably am struggling with, because I am. Because sometimes you hear a story and you're like, well, where was I at? And I thought you was okay. That's the truth. Y'all lean in a little bit, right? Like you're going to hear them give you some things and some feedback back. And you may not say, your thought process may be that I wasn't there. I don't know what you're talking about. But it doesn't negate their experience if that's what they remembered. Right. And so I give you a little story, right? So one of my sons, Malik, who was here last week, one of the things he enjoys, his space of sharing or detail or communication or freedom is music. Right. So he is really, really gotten into music. My brother would be so excited about that. Right. And so he always lets me listen for the most part to most of his music. And so I listened to a song last week and he was like, yeah, Mom, just listen to this. And I listened. He was talking about real life experiences because he used a house that we used to live in. And he talked about some things. And then he talked about this one moment and I listened to it. And he was talking about not really feeling like he had somebody there. And I broke down crying. Child, he didn't see me. He was gone. He was in his business. And I was listening to this song and I'm like, I have failed. I was like, I am failing at this. This is inequivalent. I did not do this. Where did I mess up? And then I realized that my memory and my experience of this one situation and his may just be different. Neither one to be wrong, just different. So one of the things I've realized as I'm parenting, the way I parent totally different from the way my mom and dad parented. Love them. Did an amazing job. Look at me. Did a great job. Look at me. Right. But the way they parented was so different from me. Our generations are totally different. Our expectations are totally different. Right. And so, I grew up in a home where what happened in my house, stay in my house. That was the narrative, right? What happened here, stay here, which means that you didn't talk about home outside of home. We dealt with home inside the house, and that was it. Now here I come with myself, and I'm going to raise my kids, and I'm going to let them have a voice, right? So my kids, I talked about my kids outside the house on live, because y'all know I've been doing this live thing way longer than people have been getting paid for it. Somebody going to catch that, right? And I would share my story out loud about my family and about the things and about my children. And I don't know how many of y'all remember the journey of me going into Highland Springs, right, with Nate and walking in the hallways and I'm live and having to apologize to him out loud because I believe the story of the teacher versus his. If we're not in leader, And so I had to apologize to him on live, right? And so because I believed and understood that mattered. My mama called me and said, now, why are you on this live telling these people all your business? Because in the way that she raised me, that was unacceptable. Right? In the way, and not that she did not care for me. Not that things was super crazy behind that door, but when I was uncomfortable or when it was things that I didn't, I think that had I had an outlet, some of my responses to trauma, some of my responses to arguments would be so different if I had an outlet. I just didn't, because that's the way they were raised. So even when I speak to my family sometimes about certain situations, it becomes nobody knows what I'm talking about. It's because that's my memory. Doesn't shift that the experience was different. And we never question our parents. I don't know who here to help me with this. We didn't question our parents or their decisions or the way they moved because it was just the way I was raised. Right? Now, my dad may watch this and say, but you did and you could and you did and you could. And I'm saying, okay. Right? Because at some point, we're not going to argue with them either. Again, it was my way I was raised. And so then when I became a mom, I created this open door, right? I wanted my children to be able to come to me and talk to me. I wanted my children to be able to say what was on their heart, right? Without judgment or fear, because this is what I wanted to create for them. And so in my mind, I thought I was doing what was better. I'm not telling you I didn't do it. I'm not telling you that it wasn't what's best for my children, but there were some things that our parents gave us that we probably should have just kept it in a pocket, because some of those things actually worked. Right. So again, I'm in a space of growing in this parenting journey. I'm a mom of 4. They range in the ages of 24 to 15. And every day there is something new. So any parent that is watching this who think that they got it together, congratulations to you. But some of us are still in a parenting journey. Me, I'm on it, on my way. I am journeying every day. And so, again, like I said, the topic today is about memory versus experience, and neither one has to be wrong. So I've created these spaces where my kid can come and tell me these things. The hard part is when they come and give it to you, it doesn't immediately equate to attack. It's something about when we get to hear what our children say or the things that we experience or the things that they're enduring, that it feels attacking in your mental because you want to fix it. And I'm going to just give y'all a little bit. They done made some cars that dry themselves, but there's no way for you to go back in time and fix it. The only thing that you can do in this season is hear it, reflect, help another parent, or shift some of those things to be better in your parenting journey if you have young people who can benefit from it. And so one of the things that I also want us to remember is that these things that happen or in those spaces where you may have thought you were disciplining or you may have thought you were offering them the best thing and it ends up becoming trauma, it doesn't mean that you're terrible. What it means is that we did something that we thought was right. Again, I'm talking about the parents I'm talking to, right? If you are a different type of parent, then I'm not talking to you. Right. And I won't call out names or call out things. But what I will say is the parents that need to hear this, you won't hear it. Right. And so some things you may have ridiculed or said a word or said it in a way that you have heard it said to you before and offered to one of your children. And it may not have been received in the way that your thick skin could handle it back then. So some of the things that we're doing, we are in a space unintentionally, maybe creating what now they call trauma. I'm not going to tell you the word trauma went out when I was born or when I was living, but it wasn't a word we threw around like we do today. And I'm not telling you anything is wrong with it. I am saying that there were some things that we endured that now looking back could be considered trauma. But that's my experience. My parents may remember it as I was correcting you because you was wrong. And I'm saying, as I read this book and this definition, it ain't have to be that way. Right. And so as we're talking and you're learning and you're going to be growing in this space of parenting, Remember that the lens of a child is so different from the lens of the adult, right? So, and then when that child becomes an adult, that lens may not change because it may not have been what they wanted to endure, right? And so we are in this space of tackling memory versus experience, and realizing that healing happens, right, once we know. So there are some parents who don't care and they ain't gonna want to know nothing else, and they believe that the way they did and what they did was the best with what they had. I hear you, and I get it. But there are gonna be some other parents that are looking for a freedom space, that want to know and help you in your healing journey. But we won't get there if we won't say nothing, right? And again, their experience does not trump the amazing memories that you may have. But conversation and communication helps with getting them to next if that wasn't to be true. This works in the good stuff too. I'm gonna tell you, them kids told me about a story that they just slid down some steps with some bubbles over the floor. And they got memories that I just don't know, because guess what? I won't dare. Where was I? Working. In their mind, and what the conversation was this: Mom, you won't never there. In my mind, I saw all of these things, all these wonderful things in their lives, but I missed some of them because I also had to go back and remember that I was working 3 jobs in a season, and I missed some stuff. Now, they had a whole life to tell me about, and I'm sitting there trying to figure it out, and I couldn't because I wasn't there. Right. And although I feel like I was at every game and I was at these things, there were all these other little silos in their memory, right? All these things that happened in their experience, I wasn't there for. They didn't say, Mom, you was a terrible mom because you weren't there. Although the way I heard it, me, the person receiving, was, I missed so much. And then you realize, baby, what you're trying to meet, somebody gonna do the math for me. 365 times 24. Somebody do the math for me. 365 times 24. It's people on here, so I know y'all can do it. Come on, I need to see the number. 365 times 24. I feel like I could pull out my calculator at the same time I'm on here. 365 times 24. Maybe I can. Let's see. Let's be really trying out some stuff now. Hopefully we don't get lost in the translation of the things. Let's see. Look at me. This is what happens when you're a one-man band, honey. One-man band. So 8,760. And this is me just making up if I did the right numbers. Right. Somebody didn't do the right math. I said 365 times 24. Those numbers definitely not right. But I got 8,760. Right? So there are 365 days in a year. My oldest son is 24 years old. So that's where I got the numbers from, right? Which means that he has been in existence for over 8,000 days. Okay? 8,000 days times 24. Nikki, what are you doing? 8,000 days. Good job. Thank you so much. I see somebody watching got the right number. Good job. So I did that times 24, right? So 8,760 days. And in each day, there are 24 hours. So out of Nate's life, he has had over 210 hours of life. This is going to free a parent right now. You going to miss something. You going to not get it right every time. You going to miss something. I'm just freeing somebody and I want to help somebody. Like you're going to miss something. Right? No matter how much effort, no matter how much time, no matter how many days you take off, you're going to miss it. It doesn't equate to terrible parenting. It means that you were working. It means that you were sleeping. It means that you were finding rest. It means that you were enjoying something that you deserve to enjoy. You're going to miss something, right? To my new parents who are watching, you've never, ever been on here before. And you're like, I'm gonna get it, and that baby just came out yesterday, and you like, I'm gonna be a part of everything, and I'm gonna do everything, and I'm gonna be everywhere. You're gonna miss something. Again, it doesn't equate to terrible parenting. Again, it doesn't equate to you not having it together. It means that you're human and you may miss something, right? And so as I listen to my children give me some of their experiences, it just wasn't the things that I remembered, right? I felt like my memory was off because they experienced some things that were harder than I thought they should. And so immediately I internalized those things and made them to be true. And immediately made it be that I missed all of these big things. And I may have, what I had to sit in 2 days later. So as I cried and I was angry with me, and I'm like, I was probably out, I was probably doing I was probably whatever. I was probably asleep. I was probably resting. I was probably on my way to the job, right? But I may have missed something. It doesn't take away from their experience that they may have been harder, that they didn't like, that they were lonesome, right? That they were heavy, that they had a hard space. My actuality is that I also experienced some good times in that same time period with them. The issue is that as people, we tend to take that negative thing and consume it to be the entire and only part of the experience. As a people, even in the lens of a child, as they're talking to their parent, and we're both at this moment adults, maybe even young adulting, right? So I'm listening to my young adult give me experience of their childhood that they're able to see clearer than me. Because I'm gonna tell you now, if you think your memory is the same at 43 as it was at their 24, it's not. So as I'm listening to them, I'm trying to figure out and beat myself and bang myself over the head of why I missed it. The math just showed me that I was never going to always get it all. But again, we can't negate their experience. So while they move and act the way they do in this season, possibly from something we did in that season, doesn't make us terrible parents. It means that we're starting and learning to own the things, and now we have to help them through their journey. I'm not pacifying you, right? I'm not canceling out. Right. One of the things I saw the other day on a TikTok, it was like, the trauma was your experience and your reason, but it is not your definition and why you can't. Right. And so when I say this, and I hope nobody takes it the wrong way, and if you do, I'm sorry, but you can reach out to me. I make myself public. Right. Is that some ways we have learned to take the word trauma and make it be the end all be all, but there is a space to change if you want it. Or there is a space of identifying and hearing from the person who you believe may have caused it if you let it, right? And so again, our memories are formed and shaped so differently, right? Memory is not just a complete recording, because when it's recorded in your mind, it can now become filled with gaps based on your age, based on your context. So even when I remember a movie, you still leave out 3 parts, and I might have saw the movie yesterday. So imagine trying to go back to your childhood and remember all of the things. There are going to be some things that stick out, but mom and dad and auntie, those who led hear them, right? Make space for them to share what their experience is, even if it's not your memory, right? Oh, that's a good one, right? So sometimes I'm going to use this example. So imagine a parent, maybe I'm going to tell you, I don't know why I'm using Malik so much, but Malik ran across the street one time, baby. He was rushing, won't listen. I told Malik, I yelled at him, Malik, don't run, yelled. In next to 3 seconds, he fell and hit his mouth and messed up his front teeth. My yelling could have been to somebody a trigger of trauma. It could have been, it could have immediately been that this mom is abusive in her language and in her tone, wherein mine was coming from fear of what he may do to himself. But depending on who heard it, depending on how they took it, right, it was left for the experience of them, right? But my memory is that I was saving him or preventing him from hurting himself. His experience could be like, Mom, you yelled at me, scared me, and I fell. Do I know which one is to be true? They both are at the same time. He was scared because I was yelling. I may have put some fear in him. I was scared because he was running and I did not want him to hurt himself. The both can be true at the same time. And so sometimes as we're listening, as we're creating this space for our children to talk to us and hear from them, their experience and their heavies in growing up with us as parents, eat the meat and spit out the bones. Listening to them does not equate to you wanting to be bashed, or it doesn't equate to you having to be bashed in the things that you did leading up to the space. Y'all got it? It's an open door, though. I'm a believer in an open door policy. I allow my children to come into the door. I allow them to share. I allow them to make space, right, for the things that they need to say in a respectful way, baby, because we got some rules and some boundaries. But it's because I want to hear. Possibly because growing up, I wish somebody would have asked me where I was. I wish somebody would have taken a moment to inquire about where I was. And as much as I know my parents loved me, I don't necessarily know that they knew that it was okay to hear from us. Basic example, I did my video last week. My father watched the whole thing, so he's probably going to watch this whole thing. And I appreciate you, Daddy, for watching, right? And so after he watched, though, he called my phone and he said, hey, one of his things that he said was, that he was right to not say nothing. Don't let, you did good. You did a good job with what you had. And he is to be true. I think I did the best that I could with what I had and what I knew. I do look back in my own memory and in my own experience and say, dang, I wish I could have done this different. I also care about how my children are. And so my position to my dad, and so his thing was, don't let him, he shouldn't bash you on there. And it wouldn't have been bashing to me if it was his truth. If that was his experience, I just want to understand it. Because once I understand his experience, then I can understand why he's making the steps that he makes today. Because a lot of the steps that they're making is not just because of what we did, but also what they did. So sometimes listening isn't just about you listening for correction of you, but more about understanding of them. Right? So I open the door and I create the space to hear them, even when they don't want the door open. So it isn't a bash of how my mom and dad raised me to say that what they did was wrong. I'm saying that what worked for me better was for me, is that I want the door open. Like, not just in your joy, but in your sorrow, come talk to me. Not just in your happy, but in your sad, come talk to me. Right? Because as long as I'm here, I want to be able to hear you. Because, baby, sometimes in that world, don't nobody care what you got to say. Right? I do correct. I am an out loud thinker. So when they come to me and they want to hear my opinion, baby, I'm going to say it back. But also I've learned now at my 43 or at my big self, right, that sometimes the question should be, do you want my feedback? So as parenting, your positions just shift, right? So where I had the door open and I'm giving all of the answers, I'm giving all of the feedback, and I'm giving all of the things, in this season, with all of them now, my question is, so do you want my feedback or no? Did you just want to explain to me or no? Because now they get to guide this journey, right? They will be an adult way longer than I had them as a child. So they're going to need the tools for their experience on their own. And I get to, in this time, process my memories of their experiences. And then if you need to go back, y'all listen, this is going to help somebody. After you hear their experience, if that was not the intent that you had when you did it, be okay with saying that wasn't my intent for you. Be okay with saying, I apologize if that's what happened. There's going to be some healing that happens for your child and you if you offer the apology. Because sometimes our impact hit different. We have an impact as a parent with our words, with our actions that supersede what we intended. I'm going to tell you. But we also have to be bold enough to go back when that impact hit way harder than we intended to apologize. Again, there's a healing space in the apology, and it's a greater healing for them in the forgiving. To the parents who are still here, to the parents who are willing to do that work, right? One of the things that we forget to realize is they're not just the facts, they're the experience of the feelings, right? So sometimes it's like verbatim, this is the fact, like I was there, I was in the room, I was at the space. But what we can't feel in the facts is how they felt, what their feelings were, what their emotions are, right? How did it impact them in the moment? So when they start to share, be willing to hear the impact. May not have been your intent to offer it to them that way, but how they felt it, how they took it matters. Again, like I said, I don't have a time machine to go back tomorrow and change and fix all of the things. But we don't negate their experience because our memory may not meet it. When you start to go back and have this conversation with your children, when you decide to sit down and have these, if you do, again, this ain't mandatory for anybody. This is just what I'm offering. Listen for curiosity. Like, listen with curiosity, not for correction. So when they start to tell you the story that you feel like you were at, I was there. I was at the same place. What you mean that happened? That ain't what happened. It was this. Because we want to correct it. Because sometimes when we start to hear what they're saying, it may not feel good. It's not about you correcting it. It's about you being there, hearing them, listening, allowing them to share their experience, right? It's not about just the correction. Here's some quick things you could offer, right? I didn't realize that's how you felt, right? I see it now and I'm sorry. That thing will win right there every time. You can't do it every time, y'all, because it's going to sound fake. But do it as often, right? Thank them for allowing you to be trusted in that space. Like, thank you for trusting me with this. Because they could keep it, right? Some of y'all dating people that's holding on to what their parents did and you trying to figure out why, right? But make space for them to talk so they can be a freer person when they get to their partners. Create and continue to allow this doorway to be a space of healing. When I say an open door, I'm saying you can come in with your stuff. The hope for is when they turn around to walk out that it is not the same way. Again, this is for helping in our parenting journey. Because again, like I've said before, you're a parent, you don't get to clock out. So you're going to be the same parent at 30. Your position just different, right? Your job role is different, right? But the job doesn't end when they get 50. You still their parent. Now, they may be helping you a little more than they used to, right? You may not have to help as much. But the roles are the same. The job title is the same. You're still going to be mom. You're still going to be dad, auntie, grandma, whatever the guardian, whatever the person who's leading them, you're going to be that thing, right? I want to make sure that you realize that this is a journey, right? This is never ending. I am learning how to be a parent to adults. I feel like I mastered the teen thing for boys. I am also now learning how to be a teen parent for a girl. It's just different. I'm in a different space. Like, they're requiring different parts of me. My adult parenting looks different. And I got 3 young adults. And they all need me differently. But I have not stopped being their mom. Does that make sense? Which means that the other part that's happening is I have one adult who is still living far away from home, so it requires me way less. Makes sense? Because he's so far away. So the things that he asks of me are simple. I'm checking in on you, Mom. You good? Mom, I got class today. It's real simple. You don't ask me for anything. He works. He's way more self-sufficient, right? Then I have a 20-year-old who's saying, hey, Mom, he's close range. He's here. He's in my space, right? He's transitioning in jobs. He's transitioning in life. He thought he had an idea of what he needed. So now he just like looking for guidance and reassurance that the choices that he's making are good. It's just a choice, right? But he's also reflecting on his life to figure out how he got here. So he has a lot of memory things. He has a lot of experiences that he wants to talk about in deep dark because he's trying to figure out how he got here in his path. Parenting just look different, right? Then I got this 19-year-old who's seen me do all of these things with everybody else, and he just saying, yeah, mom, cool. No, mom, good. That may not be his truth, but I think that he believes because I look heavy with everything else that he's not asking for anything. So it's pulling teeth to communicate with him. We talk different, right? Our spaces are different. And then I have this girl who just all different. She just, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm out here on a limb, but she also has memories. And when she shares them and when she shares the things or when she asks questions, and I want to answer them for her, I really try to challenge her in jargoning what her memory was, right? Because I don't want to inflict any of my memory on her experience. I share when I do, but the bigger part is they have to come up with these things all on their own because it's their life to live. Because some of my experiences in the same situations may hurt how they see people, may impact how they view people. And I've worked really hard to try to not get my children to see people the way I see them. I've allowed them to experience people the way they experience them. Every last one of them. And I'll use their fathers as an example. I have allowed them to experience their dads all by themselves, no matter what the impact was for me in those spaces. Make sense? Right? And so when they get to their whatever their thought processes are, I encourage them to continue to explore. I encourage them to continue to deep dive. I encourage them to create the life that they want. Thank you, Cara, for that, right? Because it's theirs. Because now I don't have to have a relationship with them if I don't want to, meaning fathers. They do. If they choose, in the way that they choose. And then I give good memories when they ask. I only offer the bad if it helps. When it doesn't help, I don't offer. I have one kid who is still forming what relationship looks like for her and her dad. So my experience I don't want it to impact how she sees him. Now, if she comes to me with a question because I tell my children the truth, I will answer her. Otherwise, my opinion should not trump how she sees him. I also will create boundaries to not allow her to be hurt by them. If that means I got to make a phone call before she even make a phone call. Because that's my way of protecting her. Those are the boundaries that I've created for her to be safe. I'm sorry. My computer was about to close out and I did not want that for us. Parenting isn't just about what we do, right? It's about how what we do is received. So although some people may say, Nikki, I'm not asking my kids that thing is over, I done did it or whatever. I'm not telling you that's the way you have to. Coach, I want to know, but I can't handle it. Then come see me. But for some of us, it's necessary in us continuing to grow. What I've realized and I understand about the work that I do here and in any space that I'm in is that I journey. My life, I endure. And I endure things heavily and differently, but it's not because I'm so amazing. It's because I want to share to help somebody else. A lot of our memories may be filled with love. It's going to be filled with sacrifice. Parenting journeys are full with good intentions. And some of our children's experiences may not be the same. For them, their memories are shaped about what they felt in those moments that we see ourselves doing something. Sometimes those stories not going to match. This is me learning from me. This is what I've just experienced in the past 2 weeks. And I realize that it doesn't make me a bad parent and it doesn't make them a worse child. It doesn't mean that their story is a lie. It doesn't mean that my story did never exist. The good news is that healing doesn't require perfection. It just requires a presence. So make sure that you're present in the space. Make sure you're able to be humble and there's some humility in your heart. And then have the courage to just ask the question to tell me your version. I'm ready to hear it. Ready being the biggest word. Because you're going to be willing to hear it, good, bad, or ugly. Regardless of you're the parent or you're the child that's just listening or you somewhere in between, right? I challenge you to revisit a moment. Ask the question hard. Hear it, the answer honest. And let it be the beginning of a relationship that you're building for next. Because although the parenting journey doesn't end, it may have different stops on the road. And they're all worth being heard. They're all worth being evaluated. They're all worth your time, effort, and energy. Backing, this is a word that I created, and it is not just used for you as a person, but it could also be about recovering from what happened and rewriting what's about to. I thank you so much for tuning in. I thank y'all so much for listening. Again, I say thank you. I hope that this helps. I hope that you decide to have the conversation, whether you be a child listening and want to go talk to your parent, or be a parent listening and opening the door the other way for your child. Be willing, be open, be ready. Whew, because it's going to be a ride. This is a parenting journey, and it doesn't stop. You can't clock out because the story is for everlasting, right? I thank y'all so much for listening. I thank you so much for tuning in. I am Coach Nikki. This is the Coach Nikki podcast. We're here once a week. We are here consecutively here. We are so grateful. Thank you to Spotify, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. If you want to know where I'm at, I'm on all of them. Thank y'all so much for being a part. I thank you, followers, to those who journey, those who comment, continue, share, continue to invite people, continue to be present with us, because I couldn't do it without you. We have a huge event coming up December the 6th. If you've been on here and following us, we talked about the podcast lock-in. It is happening. December the 6th. The only question I have right now is, am I going to do 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. or 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.? What is this going to be? It's actually going to be a telethon. We're raising money. The goal for this time is for the Butterfly Effect experience to be free. The focus is going to be for parents. So we want 20 parents who have the best self-care experience they've ever had. So 20 parents, 10 moms, 10 dads, 10 men, 10 women, dads, uncles, aunties. I don't really care, right? But we want them to come to this space and get everything they receive, everything they need to get them through the trajectory of the 2026 year. One day, I know it sounds crazy, but it can happen, right? So we're going to be having our telethon December the 6th. It's going to be a time. We're going to be streaming for 12 hours. Did you hear me? Streaming for 12 hours. We're going to have guests stopping by. We're going to have karaoke. We're going to have a game show. We're going to have all the things. We're going to come. If you want to be a part of the studio audience, we're going to welcome you. If you just want to stop by, we're going to welcome you. We're going to have 2 chefs. We're going to have a time. But the goal is to have an experience that we can create an experience for free. My heart beats for parents, not just moms. My heart beats for dads. My heart beats for the grandparent. My heart beats for the neighbor that decided to take the child because they saw there was a need. My heart beats for godparents. My heart beats for the parent that's leading, or the person that is leading the child to next, because it can be done. I thank y'all for tuning in. If you want to be a part, please let me know. If you want to be a part of the Butterfly Effect experience and you want to know more, please let me know. The goal is for this thing to be free for them. Not free for me, but free for them. So I can do that with you, not without you. We could be here without you, but I prefer to be here with you. I thank y'all so much for tuning in, right? Make sure you're paying attention. Paying attention doesn't cost you anything initially. But if you don't pay attention, it could cost you everything immediately. Thank y'all for tuning in. See y'all soon.